So what we're going to do is I'm going to be ringing the bell. We'll have about a minute of silence. When we have our moment of silence, it is happening simultaneously exactly halfway around the world in Nagasaki, Japan. And when we are finished, each of us is going to make a contribution. So I think Jim is going to sing a song. Well, whatever, if you want a poem, recite a poem, say what's on your mind, talk about your ribbon, describe your ribbon panel. That's how we're going to do it. So
did everybody
we've been
a candle? Do you have one? Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay.
So in Washington, D.C., we've been remembering Nagasaki like this for 39 years, every year. And actually, this is a very typical gathering in spite of the coronavirus. We usually have 15 to 20 people participating. And it's hard this time of night to do it. But we remember Nagasaki the same as we remember Hiroshima, and with the hopes and the prayer and the thoughts that it should never happen again, and that we would learn from the lesson from Hiroshima and Nagasaki and listen to the A-bomb survivors. If I can start, over the past year we've lost the number of our warriors for peace, but in particular I'd like to remember our friend the Peace Walker, Pat Loveless, also known as Paul Collins. He passed away about 6 months ago. Every year he would come out. He was blind, he couldn't walk, he was paralyzed from the waist down, and yet he came out every year and always sang the Furusato song. So I don't know the Japanese version, but I know the English version. So in memory of Paul, I'm going to sing the English version. Deadly rain gathers poison from the sky, and the fish carry death to the depths of the sea. Fishing boats lie idle, their owners gone blind. Deadly harvest of 2-atom bombs. So land folk and sea folk must stop and beware that the 3rd atom bomb never comes. Mel?
It is my fervent wish that We fortify each other in the pursuit of peace building, peacemaking, and peacekeeping, one to the other. We hold these ribbons of peace. We hold these works of our own creation to know and mind within ourselves that we can envisage a world of peace building and a world without nuclear weapons. Let me also say that this image, my ribbon, is an image of the Yamaki bonsai tree that was given as a gift to the United States for the bicentennial in 1976 by a Mr. Yamaki representing 4 generations of his family. This tree survived the bombing of Hiroshima. It is now approximately 405 years old and it rests at the U.S. National Arboretum. This is my rendition, is a collaborative work. Many hands have helped me to create this work. It was done at the studio of Helen Frederick here in the Washington area. And I am very proud that this is a representation of the resilience of us all in finding peace in our own agency in making peace.
Yes, so I'm Jim Wagner, and this event feels different than the one Wednesday evening. So I'm holding my ribbon with more complete words. I wholeheartely believe in that, but I think I'll maybe take an opportunity here. John mentioned doing a song. I don't know if I'm out of sync here, but seems like maybe a good moment following his. So there's a song called Building Bridges, which would tie in with what Mel just said. Do people know that? It was a song that was sung at the, I believe it's Greenham Commons protest site in England. They were protesting in the 80s cruise missiles, plans to deploy cruise missiles there. So this song, if people know it, help me out. So again, it's called Building Bridges. It's very simple. It's only about 4 lines. It goes, building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, won't you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, we can make such a sweet harmony. Help me out. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, won't you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, we can make such a sweet harmony. And that song could be sung as a round too. So someone said at the other event Wednesday he was disappointed in the turnout. Well, it's 2 sides, I guess, to that coin. I'm glad to see folks out tonight, and we definitely need a strong choir. We have to educate ourselves and stay together. The other side of the coin, though, is that we do have to get the general public involved in this, and with more numbers, I think that's where our hope is in getting the leaders to wake up. So I hope everyone will stay with us, let us stay together, and let us do all we can to promote the cause.
This is my first time at an event such as this. And I am so grateful that there are people who are willing to come to stand together to speak peace into the world. Because I'm not used to this, the only way I know how to express this is to ask God, to pray, to plead, that He use His hand, a mighty hand of mercy, to stay the wildness, to grow and mature the people, to bring this unity that He is speaking of, to bring it into fruition, that we might have a safer world, that we may have a healthy world, that we may move forward. This is not possible without human endeavor. It is possible, as he was saying, that when we gather together, when we speak peace, when we act and live according to the trust that has been given us, when we respect one another, there is a different kind of light in the world. There is light then. This light I hope for, the light of peace.
The microphone is just for the recording, so when you speak, project.
Hi, my name's Marge. I'm from Greenbelt, Maryland. I've been coming to these for many years, as often as I can get here. Some years I don't make it. I come partly in memory, in friendship with a woman I know, a good friend who was actually in Nagasaki at the time of the bombing and survived it. She was an American citizen who just was there by accident. I mostly come in memory of my husband, who spent his life working to learn about nuclear war and to prevent it. And my husband's name was Bert Don. Maybe some of you knew him.
My name is Marie Dennis. I'm here for my grandchildren, whose pictures are on my ribbon piece, because I believe that if we don't change something, we may not leave a world for them at all. But I'm here also as a person filled with hope. I'm part of Pax Christi, an international Catholic peace movement, and I know that in many, many other countries and other parts of the world, people have been gathering in these days to remember, to recommit themselves to nuclear abolition. This year, Pax Christi International celebrates our 75th anniversary. We were founded right at the end of the Second World War, and it was our intention to have our 75th anniversary celebration in Hiroshima this year. We were not able to do that because of the pandemic, but it lifted up for us a very deep awareness of the gift of work for peace that has been done, as you all probably know, in Hiroshima and in Nagasaki over all of these years. Most recently, the Catholic Archbishop of Nagasaki, Archbishop Takami, was on a program for us pleading with the world to get rid of these nuclear weapons. As a Catholic organization, we have been grateful that in the last very short while, the highest level of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis, has said that even the possession of nuclear weapons is morally unjustifiable. Now we need to see that commitment spread throughout our communities around the world. So I'm filled with hope because I know that there are friends and people in Japan and in Korea and in the Philippines and in Peru and in England and Scotland and Wales and Ireland and Belgium and France and Italy and Germany and Austria and in the Middle East and around the world who are paying attention to this anniversary and recommitting, as I said, to doing what they can to end the plague of nuclear weapons in our world.
Good evening, I'm Cathy, here from Washington, D.C., and I think what brings me here is having listened to quite a number of hibakusha tell their painful stories, and it just feels like I have to be here. And I can tell it's made such an impression on me. It's just so, they give so much that I feel I have to be here to bear witness to their bravery. And this sign is not mine. It's made by a young friend of mine who is transplanted from Uganda, and her whole family is good friends of mine. And she saw the ribbon that I was making, and she wanted to make something too. But her mother's fears for her to come down here, so I brought it on her behalf.
I want to read a short piece by Greg Mitchell, who's one of our allies. It's called The Inferior A-Bomb City. Hiroshima did not matter much this year. This was written in 2004. Hiroshima did not matter much this year, but then it rarely does, except in anniversary years ending in 0. If Hiroshima barely made the press this year, 2004, Nagasaki didn't register at all. But that's nothing new. It is, as a sociologist in Nagasaki once told me, the inferior A-bomb city. Few journalists bother to visit Nagasaki, and it remains the second city and Fat Man, the forgotten bomb. No one ever wrote a best-selling book called Nagasaki or made a film titled Nagasaki Mon Amour. Yet in some ways, Nagasaki is the modern A-bomb city. For one thing, when the plutonium bomb exploded above Nagasaki, it made the uranium-type bomb dropped on Hiroshima obsolete. A beautiful city dotted with palms, built on a hill, surrounding a deep harbor. It's known as the San Francisco of Japan. Nagasaki has a rich, bloody history, as any reader of Shogun knows. 3 centuries before Commodore Perry came to Japan, Nagasaki was the country's gateway to the West. The Portuguese and Dutch settled there in the 1500s, and Urakami, a suburb of Nagasaki, became the country's Catholic center. Thomas Glover, one of the first English traders there, supplied the rifles that helped defeat the Tokugawa shogunate in the 19th century. And here Greg Mitchell goes on to mention that Thomas Glover's life served as a model for the story of Madame Butterfly. He continues, in 1945, Nagasaki had become a Mitsubishi company town, turning out ships and armaments for Japan's increasingly desperate war effort. Few Japanese soldiers were stationed there during the war. It was still the Christian center of the country, with more than 10,000 Catholics among its 250,000 residents. Most of them lived in the outlying Urakami district. At 11:02 a.m. on August 9, 1945, Fat Man was detonated more than a mile off target, almost directly over the Urakami Cathedral, which was nearly leveled, killing dozens of worshippers waiting for confession. Concrete roads on the valley literally melted. While Urakami suffered, the rest of the city caught a break. The bomb's blast boomed up the valley, destroying everything in its path, but didn't quite reach the congested harbor or scale the high ridge to the Nakashima Valley. Some 45,000 perished instantly, with another 50,000 fated to die afterwards. The plutonium bomb hit with the force of 22 kilotons, almost double the uranium bomb's blast on Hiroshima. If the bomb had exploded as planned directly over Mitsubishi shipyards, the death toll in Nagasaki would have made Hiroshima, in at least one important sense, the second city.
Would anyone else like to come up and share? I want to thank everybody for coming out, for remembering Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and just to appeal that our work is not done. I believe that the real importance of Hiroshima and Nagasaki is that it's a time for us to recommit ourselves to the struggle, because it is a struggle. And Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without demands. It never will. So our demand must be abolish nuclear weapons, no more Hiroshima, no more Nagasaki, no more Hibakusha. Thank you, and good night. And please drop your candles in the bag. We'll use them again.
Also, there's our host that provided us water, Marge's water, drinking water. Thank you, John and Steve, for hosting us tonight.
My heart is definitely